Hello, everybody. Back with another podcast. What are we on? 16th of May. When did I do the last one? 14th. A bit of a shock for you. Two within 2 days. Well, this one's a bit of an off the cuff podcast. I'm doing this on a whim. This is not an official, it's nothing to do with being official or anything like that. This is just my own personal podcast. Just something I wanted to get off my chest, so I thought I would share this with you. A little bit of excitement for a Friday. It's not really that much that exciting, to be honest. Let me just change this image while you're sat here live. Look at the stuff you can do in this day and age. Look at that. I've just changed the image of the podcast real time. Right, so why am I talking to you today? Well, I'm going to tell you something right now. Some of you guys may or may not remember. And before I do this, I'm going to take off my Click Team hat. This has absolutely nothing to do with Click Team. I haven't spoken to anybody in Click Team about this. Nobody's spoken to me about this. This is just something I personally came across and felt like I had to address it from my own personal perspective. So just a bit of a disclaimer there. This has nothing to do with Click Team. It's nothing to do with anybody in Click Team. It's nothing to do with the Danny from Click Team. This is just good old Danny J having a rant on his podcast. So what's the beef? I'll tell you what the beef is. I'm going to link you below this podcast to a web page. And the web page, the URL is sparkman.com/article9 digitalblaster.html. All right. So you may be wondering what this topic is about and what it is that I need to get off my chest. Well, what I need to get off my chest is people like Sparkman. Now, some of you guys may know who Sparkman is. Some of you may not know who Sparkman is. Let me give you a quick introduction as to who Sparkman is. And again, I don't have anything personal against the guy at all. So once I've given you the background and the overview, then you'll understand I'm coming from a completely unbiased position here. So Sparkman was a guy who started using Fusion a few years ago. He was active on the forums. He was asking a lot of questions. He was getting involved. He was learning how to use Fusion. Then he starts making videos. So he starts using Fusion. He doesn't get to any kind of even an intermediate level. This guy is, the furthest he goes, he's probably the end or the pinnacle of a beginner level. But then he decides he wants to start making YouTube videos to help people use Fusion 2.5, which is cool. So he starts doing it. He makes his own channel. He starts uploading videos onto his YouTube channel, all about Fusion 2.5, how to use Fusion. In fact, I think it even stemmed back as far as Multimedia Fusion 2. I can't remember. I'm sure it was Fusion 2.5. So he starts making videos, which is cool because everybody loves content creators, whether you're creating podcasts, whether you're creating vlogs, whether you're creating tutorial videos. Everybody loves it. Everybody thrives for content. So now, bearing in mind, you would think that from a commercial point of view that maybe I would want to put a lid on Sparkman, because obviously I teach ClickTeam Fusion 2.5 professionally, commercially, and obviously it's practically a living for me. So you think I'd want to squash people like him out, but that's not the case at all. I have absolutely nothing against people who want to post tutorials on YouTube or any other platform, whether it's free, whether it's paid. You go out and do whatever it is that you need to do. I have no threats. I'm not scared. I have no fear. I know what I'm doing. I'm teaching ClickTeam Fusion 2.5 from a professional level, and I provide a lot of support to just under 1,000 people worldwide, students that have signed up, whether it's on Udemy or on the ClickFusion Academy. So I'm fine. I'm comfortable where I am. I always have been. But Sparkman, again, I'm not gonna put him down because personally I have nothing against him. But in terms of Fusion 2.5, he wasn't at a level which could even be classed as intermediate. So for a beginner to try and help other beginners is cool. That's not a problem because he's in the he's in the beginner position, so he's probably, if not better than some of the intermediate or advanced users, because he's already in that position, so he knows what it takes to reach out to other beginners who may be struggling learning ClickTeam Fusion 2.5, which is cool. You know, that is a cool thing to do. So a year in, he's making tutorials. Um, he's uploading example files. I never had a problem with the guy. Never had a problem with him at all. In fact, he used to PM me, private message me on the forums occasionally. I used to converse with him. Sorry, I just got a message off someone. Then, yeah, and everything was going good. So after about a year and a half, I said to Jeff at ClickTeam, I said, "Listen, Jeff," I said, "this guy Sparkman," I said, "he's doing a real good justice for beginners here. Some people on the forums and on YouTube, they didn't like the taste of Sparkman. They didn't like his style. They didn't like what he was teaching. But most of these people who didn't like him were already experienced users of Fusion 2.5, so they had no reason to like him. He wasn't giving them anything. He was literally spewing out tutorials and examples for beginners, which again to me is cool. That's fine if he wants to do that. That's he's covering a certain niche or a certain level of user that nobody else could probably even touch, because he's still in that position himself, so he's in the best place to do it. So I says to Jeff, I says, "Listen, Jeff," says, "let's make this guy a moderator." So I'm just clarifying right now that I've never had a problem with Sparkman. So no matter what I say right now, I'm only telling you the truth and the facts and everything, around it. So I said to Jeff, "So let's make this guy a moderator on the forum." I said he's good. He's reaching out to a niche market with the beginners. He's covering beginners. He's helping beginners. He's providing a lot of content. Let's make him a moderator. So after a few weeks, we made him a moderator, so he's a moderator on the forum. And then I says to Sparkman, I'm speaking to him, and I'm a couple of weeks after he'd been made mod, and I'm like, "Listen, this guides, widgets, and tutorial section on the forum, it's your oyster. If you want to keep uploading stuff to that, videos, examples, whatever, you go for it." And he did. He went for it, and he went for it. Believe me, he was doing sometimes 2, 3 videos a day. Um, I'm not going to comment on the quality of his videos just yet. At the time, it was like, they were cheesy. They were cheesy videos. Some people might even go to as far as say they were crap, but they were cheesy. It was badly animated. You could barely tell what he was saying half the time, and he just. But this is what I'm trying to say. The thing is, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who's delivering, who's making the tutorials, who's making the videos. The fact that he was providing all of this off his own back is cool, and that's absolutely fine. So we left him to it. Now, all this thing happened with Snail. Some of you guys may remember Snail, Sam. Some stuff happened with Sam and Sparkman. They had a bit of a clash because Snail was a bit more of an intermediate user, and he didn't like. He didn't like Sparkman's style. He didn't like the way he told tutorials. But hey, if you don't like something, you don't have to offend somebody else around that just because you don't like it. So Snail and this Sparkman, they kind of had a clash, and I was trying to play Peacemaker, and Jeff was trying, and Chris was trying to play Peacemaker. Everybody's trying to play Peacemaker. So I just said to Sparkman, "Listen," I said, "just ignore anybody else. If anybody sends you any negative criticism or anything that's derogatory or anything that's offensive, you know, it's probably the hardest thing to do, but just ignore it. Just crack on, keep doing what you're doing. It doesn't matter. Words are words. Let it go by you. The internet has a lot of people online. You can't be offended as easy. You've got to be a bit more thick-skinned." And I think he did. He started to go back. But the problem is with Sparkman is he went the other way and he started retaliating. So the next minute it was almost like a wrestling feud. These guys were at each other's necks. I'm getting messages from Snail, I'm getting messages from Sparkman, I'm getting messages from some other users on the forums, and this thing just turned out into an all-out Royal Rumble. So Snail eventually leaves the community anyway. It wasn't necessarily Sparkman or any, Snail's got his own problems. Leave him to it. If he wants to drift off somewhere else, let him drift off. It's fine. I'm not here to talk about Snail. So Sparkman continued, but he was getting out of line a little bit. So I decided I'm going to take a look at Sparkman's YouTube channel. I haven't really, I'd seen it, but I'd not really delved into it that much. So I did. This guy was producing a lot of tutorials a day, but it started getting to the point where I was thinking some of these tutorials are not even helpful for beginners. I'm thinking to myself, what's his game? What's he actually doing? While some of the tutorials were okay, some of them were really bad, like just terrible. Like 10 minutes to explain how to change the window title, and I'm like, this is something's not right here. It doesn't take 10 minutes to show someone how to change the application title in Fusion. You could literally do it in less than 10 seconds. So to drag it out for 10 minutes, it kind of made me think. So I started doing a bit more deeper investigation into Sparkman. Anyway, don't forget all this happened a couple of years ago, so my brain is quite scatty at the best of times. I'm trying to remember. I can't remember where I learnt this, but I did pick up, now whether Sparkman told me himself or I figured it out for myself, I did learn that Sparkman, I think he's Canadian, I think he's something else as well, but he definitely lives in Canada. He attended a YouTube convention, how to become a YouTuber. So straight away, the pieces started falling together. Hang on a minute. So this guy's been to a YouTube convention, one of these little conventions that's set up where people are trying to sell you the ebooks and courses and videos because they want you to make $1 million over YouTube. And I figured out pretty quickly that he was using Clickteam Fusion 2.5 as his gateway onto creating a popular YouTube channel, which again is fine. I have no problem with that. We all have our own ways and means of taking a product and using it and doing whatever you want and creating your own niche or your own community, your own market. But the problem is his content started to wear thin, because after about a year, he wasn't teaching anybody anything anymore. Because he was at that beginner level, he was teaching beginners beginner stuff, which is cool. But then once you've taught them everything they need to know, he can't create any more content because he doesn't know anything else beyond his own limits. He's not an intermediate user, and he'd not been spending the time with Fusion 2.5 to go up to an intermediate level because he'd been too busy and wrapped up creating videos for his YouTube channel, which again is nobody else's business. It's not ClickTeam's business. It ain't my business. It ain't Snail's business. It's nobody's business. It's his channel. It's his YouTube channel. He can do whatever the hell he wants on his YouTube channel. That's fine. And even my opinion of it is fine. But I started to notice that his content was wearing really, really thin. I'm talking, he was creating 10-minute videos on showing you something daft like how to change the application title and dragging it out for 10 minutes. And the reason why he did it for 10 minutes, and I know this because I've seen it before, is the old cliche way of doing things on YouTube if you wanted ads on your YouTube channel. So he had to make his videos at least 10 minutes long to be applicable to put ads on there. Without ads on there, he ain't going to make no money. Alright, so now I've got that out of the way, let's fast forward a little bit. So Snail starts, not Snail, sorry, Sparkman starts arguing with some people in the community. Some of these members have been long-term members. Some of them I agreed with, some of them I didn't agree with, but like ClickTeam got caught up in all this. We had to deal with all this. It was like being in a playground, you know. So eventually the decision was made to demod Sparkman. And I can't remember what triggered that decision. I can't remember. Maybe if I thought about it a little longer, maybe it might do. But something was triggered to demod Sparkman. He wasn't wanted as a moderator anymore on the ClickTeam forums. Now, for that to happen, we don't just demod people. I think he's the only person we've ever demodded. um, in that time. So it doesn't just come on a whim. We don't just go, oh, let's demod Sportman. I don't like him anymore. That's not how it works in Click Team. You know, everybody has to speak to everybody else, and we have to all come to some form of agreement. So whatever happened, he got demodded. Well, Sportman didn't like that. So Sportman, rather than saying, hey Danny, hey Jeff, Click Team, thanks for giving me the opportunity to be a moderator on the forums. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to post all my content on the forums. Thanks for the mail shots that we sent out that you link to my channel and help build up subscribers and, you know, all this kind of stuff. He just turned around and stuck two fingers up at us, but he didn't just stop there. And this is what my beef is today. So what is my beef? Well, this is my beef. I'm just going to share my screen with you so you can see. This is the page that I'm linking you to. Right, so this is the Sportman website. Now, if you scroll right to the bottom, I'm sure I've seen somewhere. I can't remember where it was. No, I can't remember where it is. But I'm pretty sure he tries to dodge the fact that he wrote this when it's inevitable. It's on his website. So let me just check that you can see that. Yes, you can. Right, so you know, rather than giving us up, saying, you know, rather than him saying, listen, Danny, thanks for all your time and your help, because I have helped him a lot. You know, I've got all the messages there to prove that I helped him a lot. It didn't cost him anything. He was using the platform, he was using the products to make his own YouTube channel and try and make a bit of money, which is fine. But ever since then, ever since he took the strop with Click Team Fusion 2.5, I noticed he started making videos for Construct, for Game Guru, FPS Creator, basically anything he could get his hands on, because he started clutching at straws at this point. He was like, you know, oh, I haven't got my product to work with anymore. I don't have Click Team's resources to use to bolster, you know, and up the ante for my channel. So he started panicking a little bit. He started creating content, videos on using Game Guru and FPS Creator, which again, when I watched the videos, and because he'd not had the experience with the software, the stuff he was teaching was not even basic or beginner. It was laughable content. It really was, and I felt a bit sorry for the guy, because I'm like, you know, but you've handled. I felt sorry for him, but I didn't have any sympathy, because he'd handled everything the wrong way. The way he spoke to people, you know, he was quite offensive to me towards the end, because he got demodded. He was kicking off at me, and he wasn't happy. And but like I said, rather than just walk away and put his hands up and say, you know, thanks for the time, it was good. Shame, you know, everything had to go sour. He started getting really sour about stuff. And today, listen to this. Today, um, I spotted this article on his website. Now, I didn't go to his website. I think I was doing some research this morning on, you know, the current search engine ranking positions for Click Team Fusion, because I always do that. It's not something that I do for Click Team officially. You know, I don't just sit there googling ranking positions and stuff. But obviously, I'm a Click Team advocate. I work for Click Team and I work for the Click Fusion Academy, so I'm always keeping up with stuff like this. And I came across his site. So if I came across his site, how many other people are going to come across his site? And on this page, which is titled Click Team Fusion 2.5 Review, Spoiler, Not Good. As soon as you go onto the page, there's a link to Construct. All right, so obviously, straight away you're thinking, well, that's strange. He's written a blog post about Fusion 2.5. Oh, there we go. It says written by Digital Blaster, which apparently is a different author, but that's a load of BS. He's got a link straight to Construct, and then this weird YouTube video which you can check out for yourself, and it is just weird. I'm not even going to play that or watch it or go through it. I want to get down to what he's written here. So listen, look at this stuff. So he's put pros. It's straight 2D. No programming required, good spreadsheet event system, decent amount of extensions, good for prototyping, supports gamepad. Cons, which is considerably bigger than the pros list. So I'm reading this morning thinking, what the hell is this guy on about? What is his beef? So I'm reading through this, so let me read through it for you. Event code complexity grows very quickly as opposed to normal code. Okay, so this is my response. Yes, it will at your level, Sportman, because at a beginner level, everybody has to learn the event system. You have to learn to do events in order from top to bottom. However, as you learn to use Click Team Fusion 2.5 more and more, you start grouping events together and realizing you can perform more actions. So, that could happen in anything, any kind of environment. You could be in C++ and you could end up writing more code than what you actually need to. That's just down to learning the ropes. Very poor code reuse, i.e. events cannot be reused for future games. Again, not entirely true. You can have widgets and behaviors which can be used for future games. The only difference between a behavior and an event in the events editor is that a behavior is rendered last. So you can write up a whole event sheet under a behavior and chuck that into your next game, and it'll work pretty much straight away. Need to copy plus paste events into every frame or write a level editor from scratch? Yes, of course. Or you could use the global event editor. you know. So we're up to the third point, and I'm negating them quite quickly here. So, he's trying to tell people who don't know about Fusion that you need to copy and paste events into every frame, and that's not true. You can use global events, which you just write once, and it applies to all the frames. So we'll get rid of that. Slow event system, especially for bigger games. Again, another lie. A good example of this is Knit Underground, developed by Nifflers. If you go on YouTube and just search for Knit Underground, KNYTT, that was developed in Multimedia Fusion 2, which was even before Fusion 2.5, and Fusion 2.5 is much faster than what Multimedia Fusion 2 was. So that's just a straight out lie. No native animator with curves, etc. Of course, Fusion 2.5 just has a basic pixel editor built in. We have absolutely no intention, and we never have had any intention in Fusion 2.5 to ever put in a vector-based art editor or anything like that. We concentrate on what we do best. Well, ClickTeam concentrates on what they do best. I'm trying to speak away from the ClickTeam stratosphere here, and that is develop a tool which is good for developing games, not art. No animation or object hierarchy. Need to position, rotate objects manually. Unsure what he means on the latter part. No animation object hierarchy. While visually editing, that's not true. That's true. At runtime, it's obviously not true because you can pair objects up and you can have a hierarchy in that sense. But I'm not sure what he means. Need to position, rotate objects manually. I've no idea what that's supposed to mean at all. Need to write C++ extensions when existing extensions don't cut it. Well, my current extension library is 514 extensions long, and I've been developing desktop applications, mobile applications, and game development for clients and myself in ClickTeam Fusion 2.5 and Fusion 2 since 2011. So that's 7 years, and I have no issues at all in none of the extensions cutting it. So I don't know. Subjective. Many extensions not available on non-Windows platforms. That's because most of the extensions you'll find were developed individually for Multimedia Fusion 2, which back then there was no such thing as Android. There was no such thing as iOS. Even Flash wasn't around at that point. The first Flash exports only come out in 2009. Which there's plenty of extensions for. So again, I don't know, it's just part of mindless. You might have a good mind to skip a few of these that are just not making sense. No console Linux exporters. Again, another lie, as we have the console conversion service directly here at ClickTeam. Many event gotchas, especially with object selection. Yep, that's just based on your experience level, Sparkman. No source code access to extensions, editor or runtimes, especially a problem with community-made extensions. Well, when community developers develop extensions, that's entirely up to them how they want to release their extension. If they want to make it open source, they can. That's entirely up to the extension developers. That's nothing to do with ClickTeam. It's nothing to do with ClickTeam Fusion 2.5. So that possibility is there. One of the most unfriendly and hostile communities. Again, just because you had a bad experience with 4 or 5 people on the forums, which is not a reflection of the forums, because Sparkman was also a part of that retaliation. Not true. Cannot script editor. Unsure why you would want to script in an editor using Fusion 2.5 when it clearly is a drag and drop interface. And again, entirely not true, because you can develop a Windows engine that's compatible with Lua, so you could code in Lua. So again, not true. That's quite boring to read this, some of this. Absolutely horrible native movements. Everyone creates their own in events. Unsure why that's a con. If you think, again, it's subjective, and if you think that the built-in fusion movements are crap, then don't use them, and they have the option to create their own. So I don't see what the point of that is. Again, it's subjective. Crashes constantly under Windows 8 and 10 due to its core developed around Windows 98. Nope, absolutely not true whatsoever. Literally not true whatsoever. That absolutely. Oh, have you noticed we're using words like absolutely horrible now? So absolutely horrible image resize. Again, don't see how it can be horrible. You've got two options for image resizing in the frame editor. The first one is pixel without anti-aliasing, and the second option is with anti-aliasing. So you either want to resize your images with anti-aliasing or without. Fusion provides both. Extensions have no official support. Yes, they do. Every ClickTeam extension is officially supported by ClickTeam. We get emails, we get messages, literally every week, hundreds of messages, and we respond to as many as we can. And obviously the developers are working with the bug reports as well, so they're fully supported. If a third-party developer doesn't want to support their extension, then that's up to the third-party developer. It's nothing to do with ClickTeam. It cannot rotate. It cannot rotate. It cannot rotate the cam or zoom. Game scrolling can only move up and down. Okay, but I'll give you that one. That's true. But again, that's not a core feature of a development software. That is an extended feature of designing a game engine. So technically, you or any other user could design a camera that does rotate and do game scrolling. Exporting to Android, it's a complete nightmare with almost zero documentation or comprehensible guide. That's not true. There's a full help file that tells you everything about the Android exporter. I've created lots of tutorials for the Android exporter, and I also provide a lot of support in the Android forums as well. It's pretty easy, to be honest. It's pretty easy to grasp. I don't even want to comment any further on that one. And then for the complete software with all the exporting modules, you are looking at $940. But there's been plenty of sales on the last couple of years. Come on, you don't need to throw that to the wind. I mean, I don't even know what the price is in dollars of the developer version, but I remember purchasing developer way back. I can't even remember what year I purchased developer in before I joined ClickTeam. And I was so proud of that moment I spent that money on that software. I was supporting a company that had developed an awesome piece of software. So again, it's subjective, whether you can afford it or you couldn't. At the time, I couldn't even really afford. I think it was £250 in UK money for a developer, and I was so proud when I made that purchase and the disc came through the post. That was like Christmas had come for me, and I was so happy to have this powerful piece of software in my hands. So again, subjective. And then you notice that he goes on to link to AGK and Construct, and this just goes to show how far behind the game Sparkman is, because even though he's slagging off Fusion 2.5 here with nonsense, he's linking to competitor software, which is fine. Nobody cares about that. But the best thing is he's not even making money off this stuff. Come on, Sparkman, get a grip of yourself. Look, they're not even affiliate links. So I don't. This just says to me that he's not even created this blog post for SEO reasons. He's literally created it to spit all over ClickTeam, the guys who helped him get up on the YouTube platform, the guys who helped him. You know, he got so much help from us guys at ClickTeam, particularly me. And this is why I'm a little bit pissed off with the way he's being towards ClickTeam, because there's just no need for it. He's had nothing but help. He's had nothing but being able to use our resources, the email lists, the forums. He had a moderator position, you know, and we didn't ask him for anything, nothing in return. But we just thought he was a cool guy. But you know, he's not even making money off this stuff because they're not even affiliate links. So I've no idea what his beef is. But I felt like I needed to address this today because it really concerned me slightly. And this is not the only thing. If you go to his homepage, there's another one here: 3 worst game engines for beginners, and then obviously Fusion is second in that list. And then the worst thing is he's even showing a click and play screenshot. It's tiresome. You know, look at this. This is obviously a game that Sportman has created. He's put together. It's crazy, you know. And the thing that the reason why I say it's crazy is because at the time when he was using it and he was making money off it, everything was fine. As soon as all that came to a stop, all of a sudden he's got a vendetta against ClickTeam, and I ain't gonna sit back and let him single-handedly try and pull the software down. Everybody knows all about the software now. Everybody knows the Fusion 3 thread is thriving over on the forums. And don't get me wrong, I am not sitting here saying that ClickTeam Fusion 2.5 is the best thing since sliced bread. To me, it is. But you know, it does have its negatives and it does have its downfalls. But that's why we're developing Fusion 3. We develop Fusion 3 because what we do is we take previous experience and comments and suggestions on board and apply them for Fusion 3. So I'm not going to sit here and see BS like that being posted online. You know, the rest of the guys at ClickTeam, they're not even interested. If I told them about this, they'd just be like, "Oh, whatever. He just needs to grow up," you know, or whatever. You know, they don't retaliate, and I'm not retaliating. I'm just literally doing what I think is right in just addressing at least this one post here. Not cool. Not cool, Sportman. Not cool at all. All right, thank you very much for tuning in. I thought I'd get it off my chest. Any comments or anything, just leave them down below. I'll get back to you, and I'll see you in the next podcast.